Okay, welcome everyone to our webinar this morning here in Queensland for Instagram. And today we're very lucky to have a guest presenter, Lauren Bath, who is back with us for another version of her Instagram webinar. She's a wonderful Instagram with many followers on Instagram and takes beautiful photos. So we're very lucky to have her today for the benefit of her tips and tricks. So welcome, Lauren.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Just before we start, can everyone please just raise the little hand icon on their control panel to make sure if you can hear me okay, if the sound is all right. Just let me know that you can hear me. Click the little hand icon on your control panel, little picture of a hand. That's it. Great. Okay. Good. So just a little housekeeping before we start. You are all automatically muted so that your background noise wherever you are doesn't interfere with everybody else. But by all means, do feel free to ask questions as we go. Just type it into the question box, which should look a bit like this, but it'll have the word question there. And I will pick it up and I'll ask it as we go. Alternatively, Lauren's happy to take questions either through the presentation or at the end if you can stay a little bit longer. Feel free, excuse me, to ask questions at any time. And you might want to just grab a pen and paper and jot down some notes as we go because she has a lot of very good wisdom to share with us. So, without further ado, I will just change over to Lauren, and in a minute we'll see her screen. And leave it to her to take it away. Okay. Lauren, do you have control?
I think so. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
I can hear you, but I can only see the placeholder screen. Just might take a minute, everyone, for the technology to catch up with us. Just give it a moment. It just says waiting to view your screen. Sorry, everyone, just give it a moment.
Oh, wait, there it is.
Okay.
That might help.
Are we on? No, still can't see it.
Can you see it yet?
It says now viewing. Now I can. I can see your feet. Okay.
Great.
Sorry about that, everyone. It just takes a little time with the bandwidth we've got to make sure that to show someone else's screen. But we're all good now, so take it away, Lauren. All yours. Thank you.
Okay. Can you just let me know when you can see the slides coming up?
Yeah, I can see your iPhone. Your what is it?
I've got a red slide up. It says Instagram for Business.
We had it just a minute ago, and now it's disappeared. Could you just reload it, perhaps?
Yep. On air, showing screen.
Have you clicked
Still nothing?
show my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see your feet now. Yes, I can see the
Okay,
red
so that's my.
Instagram for business.
You
Okay.
can see the red? Okay. So Instagram for Business.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Ready?
Yep. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm talking about Instagram for Business today. As you know, I'm in the great position of having worked with many operators, regional tourism organisations, and state tourism organisations. So hopefully, I have some information that's really relevant that you can use. So first of all, for those that don't know who I am just a person who stumbled onto Instagram as a social media platform, started succeeding on it with followers and improving my photography. And about 14 months ago, I quit my job as the chef to move full time into destination marketing and Instagram as a digital influencer. And through that, I've learned that I have a real passion for marketing and working with destinations and operators as well, using social media to promote their business. So Instagram, I'm keeping this webinar quite basic, sort of back to basics. For those that don't know, Instagram is a social media app. It's a platform predominantly used on the mobile phone, similar to Twitter, except using images instead of words. So it's a very current app. It's what a lot of young people are using. It's all image based, it's very visual, it's very here and now and instant, thus the name Instagram. Um, it's a social network. Like I said, it's very visual, just images. It's very easy to use. I think a lot of operators are really scared about putting a social strategy into place because they're worried about how much time it's going to take them per day to use. Instagram's super simple, takes 2 minutes to put an image up. Very powerful, unlike Facebook and Google Plus and other networks. 100% of the people that follow you have access to your content. So it's not an algorithm, it's not a 7% reach. If somebody's following you, they can see the content that you're putting out. It's also very measurable. So unlike print media where you don't know who's actually reading an advertisement, with Instagram, you can actually see who's engaging with the content by their likes or their comments. And another great thing about Instagram is that you can tap into user generated content. So you can encourage people that are visiting your region or using your product or your operation to post their pictures, use a dedicated hashtag, and basically provide some content that you can repurpose and post through your own Instagram account. I'll talk a little bit more about that later because I have got some case studies there. So Instagram 101, I'm just going to run through the app for those that don't know how it actually works and who want to start using Instagram. So like I said, it's very simple. If you look at this picture here, there's 5 bars on the bottom, and the first one looks like a little house. So this is the home tab, and this is basically the people that you follow come into this tab. So I personally follow a lot of people because I've used Instagram for a very long time and I meet a lot of people. Um, Businesses sometimes think it's not important to follow people, but it really is because social media is a two-way street. You support and encourage people that do similar things to you, and you'll get the same back. So I follow 1,300 people. I don't recommend following that many, but I think you should always look after similar operators. You should follow your state and regional tourism body. You should follow, obviously, Tourism Australia here in this country. Engage on their content. They'll come back and do the same back to you. And yeah, just I guess be a good Instagrammer is what I try and say. So try and keep up with this tab. Every time you do put an image up on the platform, it's good to just go here and see what other people are doing as well, and then hope that they'll do the same for you. So the second tab, this is the Explore tab, which used to be called the Popular page. This is basically content that's trending on Instagram, and it's a great way to reach an even wider audience. But typically, until now, it's been reserved for people with very large accounts. So if you didn't have, say, 50,000 followers, your chances of appearing on this particular Explore page would be slim to none. The good news for operators now is that they've just changed the algorithm for the Explore page. It's a new formula, and it basically means that anybody has the chance to be featured on this page. And the way that it works is if somebody's liking a particular image or if somebody's liking a particular hashtag, people that follow them and are in their circle will see the same content. So if you have a pretty engaged Instagram account happening with your operation and people are liking things and commenting, using your hashtag, the chances of appearing on certain people's Explore page is greatly increased. And again, just reaching a brand new audience and more of an audience. So the next tab is the upload bar. It's the third one across, and I'll talk about this one a little bit because I want to run through how to actually physically upload a picture so you can see just how easy it is, but also talk a little bit about, I guess, my theory on marketing through repetition. So to upload, you just hit that middle button and it brings you into the camera roll of your phone. A lot of people ask me how I get my SLR images on my camera roll, and I will talk about that as well. So you won't have to question that at the end. So basically, pretend for now that you know how the images are there. You select an image off your camera roll, Mine are already edited and they're in the square crop and they're ready to go. And you just put it into the center of that box. So one, select your image. The second one is select a filter. So Instagram is really well known for their filters, which make images look better, disputably. Um, it You don't have to use filters. If your content's great, you might not even need to. Why would you use a filter? I guess if you think that it improves your content, maybe you want to have a really cohesive color scheme happening on your profile. And if you use the same filter every time, it will give you a very visual and similar appeal for all of your content. I have different reasons for using filters because I believe that using a filter helps you to trend on the explore page that we just discussed. Um, you have to have a play with them. Some of them are a little bit over the top. I like Mayfair because I think that it gives a little bit of extra saturation and contrast. Some of them, like Amaro and Rise, that you can see on this screen grab, they tend to tone the colors down a little bit. So if you have something that's a little bit over processed, you can actually soften that using filters. So they're a good thing to play around with. It's easy to get carried away because the effect can be quite strong on some, but just keep in mind that the picture should still look quite natural. So after your filter selection, you go straight into next, which takes you to your caption area. So this is where you write a caption. And I like to write a caption that's quite short because people don't like to read a lot when they're on social media. I like it to be quite relevant information though. I believe in branding, so I think that you should talk about your brand or your product or your destination. And I always use a hashtag and an at username in every upload that I do. And I'll talk a little bit about hashtags for those that don't know what they are. So here it's just a Kakadu image. I've said that I'm in Kakadu because obviously I'm working in destination marketing, so I like to put out there where I am. I've used at Oz Outback NT because I'm driving traffic back to that site, and I've used the hashtag NT Australia. So in that one comment, I've actually mentioned the Northern Territory 3 times, which is sort of that repetitious marketing. Going on to the next one, there's also an option to tag people. You don't have to do this, but if you are looking to get featured by somebody, for example, Tourism Australia, it helps to hashtag their username using this box. And it just means that they'll get a notification that they've been tagged in an image. It's something that you can have a play around with. Very easy to use. Just tag people, touch on the image where you want the tag to be and just start typing in the username and it will auto prompt you. Again, it's more repetition because it does pop up when people are looking through their images on their home stream. You can be featured. Again, if you're using Australia as a tag, Australia sees that they've been tagged in something and they might have incentive to repost your picture. And it drives more traffic as well because it's another easy avenue for people to go back to that account. In this case, Oz Outback NT. So then geotagging, this came out quite a while ago now, but it never used to be there. Again, just another really fantastic way to promote your brand or product or destination. You can create your own geotag, which is what I usually do because they tend to not work unless you're in the vicinity of the area. So I'm on the Gold Coast now, but if I wanted to post another Kakadu image, I could use this custom location that I've created. And if people tap on that custom location, it will actually show them a map of Kakadu. If you have a business, it's a good idea to maybe create one for your, maybe your HQ or wherever it is, so that you can use that even if you're posting from somewhere that's, a little bit further away. And again, more repetition because this pops up underneath your upload. So, you've shown a beautiful picture, you've talked about product, you've used the hashtag, you've used the username, and now you've got a geotag there as well. So the finished product, just before you upload, there's the comment, there's the image with the filter on it, there's the people that I've tagged. It's added to the photo map with Kakadu National Park, my custom location. So it's 6 repeats per upload, 6 different ways that people can see the destination that I'm in. But this would work obviously for anything. So if you're a whale watching operator, you could do the same thing. You'd have the username, the hashtag, the tag, the geotag, the image, and the relevant comment. So just going away now from uploading, I hope that that all made sense. It's really easy, just play around with that tab. The fourth bar along is the notifications bar, and this is where you can see where people have liked, commented, or followed you. So it's a good way to I guess, keep on top of things. For an account like mine that's quite large, I don't really spend a lot of time on this bar because I miss so many things anyway. I tend to just go through and read the comments of my most recent uploads and try and comment back to as many people as I can. But this is a good way to see who's engaging with you and what content they're engaging on as well, and who's following you, so you can check them out and potentially follow them back. And the last one is your profile bar. So this is where all of your information and images are. It's your profile. There's space there to have a little bio, which is really handy. Profile picture, it is a circular picture, so you have to try and find a profile picture that's eye-catching, colourful, not too messy. I guess people work best. It's not good to put, a picture of a landscape or something in that space. So a good catchy profile picture, bio with your information. If you're using a specific hashtag for your product, you can write it there. So for example, Tourism Australia say, use hashtag See Australia to be featured by us. And that's something that you should do if you're trying to get user-generated content, if you're tapping into that. I also have my contact information there, so a way that people can contact me. Unfortunately, that's not a live link. People would have to physically type that out. But there is space for a live link, for a website link. And you can use this, obviously, if you're an operator, you would use this for your own personal website or somewhere that people can go to actually book and pay for everything in a really easy flow, without having to move around too much. I personally use that space for whichever destination I'm in. I'll allocate their website in there just for people that want to do a little bit more research. So you can see it's quite powerful. There is quite a little bit of information you can sneak into that small area. And obviously all the content and images are there as well.
Lauren,
So I said that I would,
sorry,
yes?
just a quick question has come through just regarding tagging from Morella. She says, does the tag tool work exactly the same as tagging with the actual ampersand in the caption area?
The tag tool. So, well, what will happen is if it comes up in the news stream, there's a little icon in the bottom left-hand corner that will, if you touch on it, it will bring up the tags. If
Okay.
you press on any of those tags, it will.
Sorry, Lauren, we just lost you there for a sec.
Sorry.
We just lost your sound there for a sec, but it's back now. Sorry, could you just repeat that?
Okay. Yeah. So when you're going through your news stream, so the people that you follow, if they've tagged someone, it will come up as a little icon in the bottom left-hand corner of the upload. So if you press on that icon, it will bring up all the tags for that image. And if you press on a tag, it will take you directly to that profile. So yes, it will work as a live tag.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Morella? Let us know if there's something else. Okay. All right, let's move on. Thanks, Lauren.
Okay. That's all right. So I mentioned that I would talk a little bit about hashtags. Some people don't even know what they are, and that's absolutely fine. A hashtag basically is a way of sorting content into albums, I guess, virtual albums. So if I use hashtag amazing, my picture will go into a virtual album of pictures that have all used that same hashtag. Instagram allows you to use, I think, up to 30 hashtags at the moment. I'd have to check that. But what I do is I don't put these in my caption. I put one hashtag and one username in the caption for any image because that's my call to action. That's prime real estate. That's where things will gain the most traction. But I also want my images to go into a lot of other hashtags because it increases my chances of being featured by a different account like Tourism Australia. It puts my work out to a wider audience, and I can reach more people by doing that. So I usually use between 15 and 20 hashtags, and this is just a screen grab of the Notes app in my iPhone, and this is where I just jot down all my hashtags, and then it's just a simple copy and paste to put it into the comment box underneath my caption. So as soon as I've uploaded my captions there, my geotag, my tagging and all the information that I ran you through, I then just hit comment, and then I paste all of this stuff in there. So I hope I hope that kind of explains what a hashtag is. But going into the sort of hashtags that you should use, I always say it's best to use the country's official tourism hashtag. In this case, it's See Australia for Tourism Australia. The state's official tourism hashtag. So we're all in Queensland. So the Queensland hashtag is hashtag this is Queensland. The regional official tourism hashtag. So whichever region you're in. For the Gold Coast, it's hashtag visit Gold Coast. A product unique hashtag. So this is, if you were trying to tap into that user generated content, you'd use your own hashtag. One of the case studies that I bring up is Spirit of Gold Coast Whale Watching, and they have a product unique hashtag. Then there's also feature accounts on Instagram. So there's actually communities looking for great content that will feature your image and give you, I guess, we call it a shout out. So try and find out the sort of accounts that do this, and I will list a few during this webinar. Use those feature account hashtags and use the image specific hashtags. So if I'm posting a sunrise or a picture of a dolphin or a rainbow, I'll use that as well, because there are people out there that are like, oh, I feel like looking at rainbows today. And they'll go through and, go to that hashtag rainbow and look at all the beautiful rainbow pictures. So it seems like a lot, but if you do what I do and you just have that note and you just add the hashtags for that, it's just a really simple copy and paste. Bang, all of a sudden your content's reaching all these different virtual albums at the same time. So I talked briefly about feature accounts. Look, really, just spending time on Instagram, you will start to learn about the accounts that do this. But I have listed three here for you guys to look into. One is Josh Johnson. He is I guess, the longest running community on Instagram and the first person I ever followed on Instagram. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him in real life. He runs daily forums. So he might say the theme for today is water. And if you have a great picture that features water, you use his hashtag that changes daily. And if he gives you a feature, you can see all the features that he's got up there. You're going to gain followers and exposure off that. The second one I've listed is Exploring the Globe. This is actually a local guy that's running this, picking up traction quite quickly. It's only small at the moment, but he's grown that very quickly. And his hashtag is Exploring the Globe. And the people that are following this are just looking to follow great, beautiful content because that's what he's posting. And the third one is Nature, and they are a monster, 1.6 million followers. If you get a feature off these guys, you would expect to pick up, I guess, minimum 1,000 followers. Again, it's not easy, but if you do happen to get yourself a hero shot or something really special or unique, absolutely use their hashtag. They've listed it there on their bio, hashtag Nature Addict. Add that to your list of hashtags and just give it a go, because it would be a really, big benefit to gain that many followers.
Just a quick question.
So talking about
Sorry,
yep,
Lauren, if I can just jump in again.
absolutely,
Going back to the business profile picture, the circular one. Amber's asked, is it
yes.
best to regularly change this circular profile image, or should you just not do it very often for a
I
business?
think if you have a good profile picture, it's good to just keep it, because people start to associate it with your brand.
Okay, right.
I didn't cut out then. No.
No,
Yeah, and
makes
I
sense.
think
Yep.
yeah, with tourism organisations, I mean, it's a bit tricky. I saw one recently. It was a Western Australian one, and it was a picture of a leaf. And I think that people with tourism, it should be maybe a logo if it's an official tourism board. Because tourism, it's really easy to pick up followers because people want to follow those official accounts.
Yeah.
With an operator, for a whale watching, I would put a great whale breach there so people know straight away when they see that what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's just something really eye catching, not a landscape, not a leaf or something a bit boring, just something a bit eye catching.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And just another one from Christina. She had a question about keeping track of hashtags. I guess you mentioned
Hmm.
putting it into the notes page on your phone. Is that the best way? That's obviously the best way as far as you're concerned. You can just kind of select, copy, paste, and put it in.
It's the easiest way,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I would say keep revisiting it. So
Yeah.
don't just have those hashtags and use them for the next 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Instagram changes, new people join, new feature accounts pop up. You're putting different content out as well. You wouldn't want to use hashtag rainbow if it's not a rainbow.
Yeah.
So yeah, just always amend it slightly every time you're using it.
Sure. Check that it's still current, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. That's all the questions for now. Keep them coming, everyone. Feel free to ask if questions occur to you. Thanks, Lauren.
Cool. That's all right. So content is a big thing that I talk about a lot, because a lot of people are really concerned about getting enough content and the right type of content for social media. As we all know, it's not traditional media, and the image library pictures just aren't working for social media. It needs to be really fresh and relevant and current. So I talk a little bit about that because that's what I specialize in. My big piece of advice is to, where possible, use DSLR images. And I know it's really hard, and I know that a lot of operators and even tourism organisations are using the mobile photography. But I just think, you're marketing your brand through this platform. So why don't you want to use the best possible content that you can? Not everybody's a photographer, and I will talk about different ways of tapping into quality images without having to take them yourself. Um, but yeah, I think best quality images are DSLR images. They look fantastic. Try and work towards that for your content or your strategy. Content tip number two is to use a consistent quality of images. So social media is very fickle. When people follow an account, they pretty much like to know what they're getting themselves into. And if you're a bit wishy-washy with the content that you're posting, if you're putting really high quality imagery some days and really bad quality mobile images the other, people will probably more than likely unfollow you. Whatever they followed you for, if it changes, they'll probably unfollow you. So to keep your reach pretty consistent and keep your momentum up, use a consistent quality. So what you decide to post, keep posting and building on that quality. Don't go backwards, I guess. So content tip number three, this is just a practical bit of advice. For fast editing and uploading, you can use an iPad and actually import the pictures directly off an SD card. There's a little piece that you can get from the Apple Store. It's called a camera connection kit. You simply plug your SD card straight from your DSLR into the iPad, and you can upload everything there, and it will go into a folder in Photos that says just uploaded or most recent uploads, I think. So all of your images are there, unedited. Obviously, it's best to use professional editing tools, but some people just don't have the time or inclination. Snapseed is a fantastic app. It's free on the iPad. Um, straighten your horizon up, crop your content into a square if it's Instagram that you're pursuing. Give it a little bit of contrast and some saturation because it is, it's a colorful and visual platform. You can do all of that on your iPad. And the other great thing is you can actually have Instagram on your iPad. So you can get your images on there unedited, you can edit them on your iPad, and then you can straight away put them up on Instagram all through the one piece of equipment, which is the iPad. Really fantastic and practical way of uploading, and basically how I was doing it for the first 2 years. So content tip number four, if you wanted to go a step above that, for professional editing, people always say, like, how do you get your images onto your camera roll? Because, if you have them on your iPad, which I've explained now, you can upload from there. But if you're editing using Lightroom or Photoshop like I do, look, it's really simple. I just email the edits to myself. So I will edit my squares up, I'll save them to my desktop or to a folder, and then I will literally just go through and email them to myself and retrieve them off my mobile phone, and save them to my camera roll so they're all there. I do this in batches. I edit every day, sometimes twice or thrice a day. So if I edit 5 or 6 pictures, I'll email them all to myself, save them all to my camera roll. That's my content there, ready to go. If you're setting up a social strategy, you know that you want to do 3 images every day for 6 months or whatever. You want to put a lot of content onto your phone. Maybe you'd like to use Dropbox instead. So you just sync everything through to Dropbox and retrieve them on Dropbox off your telephone as well. And just a fast tip that I wanted to add in because I find this quite important. Every time I upload a picture, I actually go to that fifth bar and I look at what my profile looks like. I have a look at all the colors, I have a look at the content that I've got out there, and I try and mix it up. So I wouldn't put 6 landscapes in a row or 3 black and white images in a row or 2 portraits in a row. I try and make sure that there's a really good mix of colors and textures and content and subject matter. So go to your profile when you're uploading, especially if you have content sitting in your camera roll ready to go. Have a look at your grid. And I guess for me, it's easy because I'm a visual person. But, you can kind of tell, like if you've got lots of pictures that are green, you might say, well, I won't post another green picture now and try and come up with a different color scheme or something. I'm always aiming to get a grid that I'm happy with. And at the moment, I've just been down in Vivid shooting the city lights. all of my pictures look kind of the same. They're all the same color scheme. It's hurt in my brain. Recently in Kakadu, I was shooting at all different locations at all different times of day, and I actually ended up with a grid that I was really happy with. And when I actually break this down and look at what makes me happy, it's just all the bright colors. I think it's that I had the three crocodile shots sort of diagonally in a row, and it's visually appealing. So every time I upload, I look at my grid, I look at my profile, and I try and get that balance right and get content that looks good together. And the reason I do that is because if somebody comes to check you out, they're going to decide whether or not to follow you based off that. That's the first thing they see. So if you're not looking good, they'll probably choose not to follow you. But if you've got a really appealing grid, they're going to hit that follow button pretty readily. So the perfect grid, which I just mentioned as well, mix of colors, a good mix of textures, subject matter, balanced, and just a nice aesthetic appeal. Something to consider anyway. So I get this question a lot, and I'll briefly go through the sort of content that I find works well on social media and the sort of content that I don't have much success with. So first of all, you saw this when we first joined the webinar. Terrible picture of my feet, but using a first person perspective actually helps to put the viewer in your shoes, literally. In this case, it gave scale to the turtles, and to date, I think this is my most liked picture ever on Instagram with over 20,000 hits. Another example of a first person perspective, slightly different. This mountain as a landscape is actually quite boring. And I thought to myself, I'm in this beautiful house with these bright coloured cushions. If I try and frame that mountain with the context of where I'm actually standing and the experience, I thought it would look really well. And I love this image, and it went very well on Instagram for me. And I really think if I'd have just shot that mountain, it would have maybe tanked a little bit. It's a little bit boring, and the colours alone weren't fantastic. Another example of a first person perspective, I was on a horse ride. I wanted to shoot some pictures. You know, I could have just taken pictures when I was off the horse or from the horse, but I thought that putting the horse's neck in the frame really gives people a sense of what I was doing and where I was. And again, another successful image and a style that I think works really well for social media. Pretty colors, really obvious, guys. You know, the more beautiful a scene, the more beautiful colors there are, the more people will engage with it. Colors that I find work really well. You know, there's not rainbows around every day. I get that. But beautiful blue water. Blue water does exceptionally well on Instagram as a platform. Sunrise and sunset, those vibrant purples and reds and oranges that you get early in the morning and late in the afternoon make any picture look better. And this is another sunset that I shot. So trying to get that good light in there as well always really helps. Cute fluffy animals. I actually think Tourism Australia have based their whole social strategy off cute fluffy animals. If you have a look at their Instagram, if there's any way that you have animals involved with your operation, then I'd say try and get some shots. Even if you have a pet dog that's a bit of a mascot for your company, do some cute stuff there. You know, animal watching operations have access to this fantastic content daily, so they're really lucky. But yeah, I do a little bit of this stuff as well. It's almost a contingency for me when the weather's bad and I'm not getting the landscapes that I want. I'll look out for adorable animals. Content that doesn't work, just going through this briefly, kind of boring shots, bad light shots. I took that one in the middle of the day, not perfect. People shots, I know, I guess the tourism thing is to always try and put people in the experience. I don't think it works that well with social media, at least in my experience. I find the first person perspective works well, but actually a shot of people, I always get way less likes on that content than anything else. Bad lighting. This is a shot that I was just dying to get. I was so stoked to capture a turtle laying her eggs. But it was the middle of the night and I only had my camera flash, and you know, it just made the turtle look hideous and the picture really tanked and I was surprised. But when I look at it, it just comes down to the bad lighting, and I guess trying to get around that and avoid that, not shoot at that time of the day. For me, dark, moody shots, because I do specialize in beautiful images and destination imagery and travel. When I put something like this in, it tends to do really badly for me. It's just too much of a drastic change. Shots that are too busy. Instagram's a really small area. It's a square format. There's only a little bit of space to put your image there. Eye-catching shots where it's really easy to see what's going on. That works really well. This is, it's a good image. The exposure's good. I've managed to capture the action, but it won't go well on Instagram because it's just too much. There's too much light and too many things going on. An obvious product placement. And I haven't done this very often because I do specialize in destination work. But if you do put something that is a bit brandy, it tends to turn people off. So content like that wouldn't go very well. Again, pay attention to your audience. I'm talking about the experience that I have with the marketing that I do, but you'll be able to tell if you pay attention. So see what content works, see what's picking you up the most likes, and you might find a very different experience to me. I can only really offer guidance based off my own experience. So, if you see that certain content is doing really well, by all means, keep putting out that sort of content. You have to speak to your audience. So acquiring content, for all those people out there that are freaking out, like, oh God, I can't take these pictures myself. How am I going to get this content? There's a lot of different ways, and I'm hopefully going to help you to think outside the square and use some of these different ways. So user generated content. You've heard that term brandied about. And look, it's hard to build up user generated content, especially if you're a small operator. There is ways that you can do it. One, of course, is to include in your bio that you have a specific hashtag, so that people know to use that. And then say, please use hashtag, whatever your specific hashtag is, to allow us to repost your content. And just be careful when you're reposting that you are crediting the photographer. So you're saying photo taken by at whoever it was. So user generated content, it's a bit of a slow burn and a slow build, but I think it's worth it. As well, you can put little brochures or include in your brochure the Instagram symbol, letting your customers know that you are on Instagram, and include in your hashtag as well so they know to use it. Incentives can work as well, like competitions. Use our specific hashtag to win a free tour for you and a friend. That can work really well too. And again, it's just encouraging people to use that hashtag so that the content's all there for you to just pick out of the hashtag. You pick it out, repurpose it, add it onto your own account, and you both benefit. Empowering your staff. This has been a bit of a hot topic of conversation lately, because there are a few people that I see that are doing amazing things at their place of work simply because they love photography themselves. There's a photographer that works up at our Lady Elliot Island, and Lady Elliot Island has the most fantastic looking Instagram account. And this girl doesn't even have her own Instagram account. All of her beautiful images are just benefiting her employer. So if you have got people that are enthusiast photographers that are in your staff, absolutely encourage it, and encourage them to post content, and then use your hashtag, and do what you can to empower them to do that or help them to do that. Local photographers as well, educating people that are shooting locally in your area. Get them to come and do a tour with you or experience your product, whatever it is, and encourage them to use the hashtag and to use the images, and maybe even share the images with you. So it's a mutually beneficial thing. Even a small fee. It's not commercial photography, so don't think that you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars. A lot of local photographers would be happy to go out and experience something for free, or maybe get a small amount of money and provide some content in exchange. It's just finding the right like-minded people who understand the notion of social photography not being commercial photography. Again, local social users, so people that are getting into social media in your area, offer them a free experience, put the bums on seats and get them to start sharing it with their followers. Influencers, I guess that's a step up from local social users. Influencers are people that have a lot of followers. So obviously I'm a digital influencer. I do a lot of work mainly with destinations, but I work with operators as well. Bringing people of influence out can be a way to really quickly say, this is where we are, this is what we're doing, this is our hashtag, and get the message out to a big number of people. And if you wanted to take that a further step, you can organize multiple influencer campaigns. So you can, you can bring 6 or 8 different people in all at the same time, and do like a bit of a program or a campaign, just again to get word out there really quickly that you're using Instagram, you've got great content, you've got your own hashtag, everybody should use it, and I guess, spread the word. So top tips, just to run through a couple more of them. We talked about consistent quality already, so people want to know what they're following. Try and really remember that every time, and don't be tempted to backtrack with your content. Consistent quantity, and this is something that people don't consider, but it's very important. Uploading consistently with the amount of uploads that you do and the times that you upload is really important to capture your audience. I personally upload 3 to 4 images every day. People that follow me know that, and that's what they like about it. They know that they can log on in the morning and see one of my pictures. One of the biggest killers for social media is not catching that momentum. So if you're posting a few pictures every day and then, you just have a busy week and you don't post anything for a week, you're going to find yourself really backpedaling. You'll lose a lot of your momentum. You'll probably lose followers as well. So when you're sitting down and thinking about using Instagram for your business, really think about how much time you can dedicate to it. And if you want to maybe do a morning and afternoon upload, or if you're willing to do something in the evening, what's your target market? When are they using Instagram? And just put that time aside and try and be really consistent with it. Engagement, I talked about this briefly at the start. Be a part of the community. Don't just do your own thing. If you're a light aircraft operator, engage with other light aircraft operators. Engage with people that love aviation. Engage with your light plane enthusiasts. Just try and really get out there and build a community that's specific to what you do. So I have gone into a few different case studies, starting right up the top at Tourism Australia. The thing that I love about Tourism Australia is they started quite early and they were extremely consistent with their approach. And it took them a while to gain traction. And up until early this year, I actually had more followers than Tourism Australia. And look at them now, they've almost doubled me. And it's purely because they're putting lots of content out. They're doing it very consistently. They have a very consistent style. They're using a formula. They're using their cute, fluffy animals and their beautiful locations and their bright colours and their grid overall and everything that I've talked about. Tourism Australia just do it perfectly. Again, they've got all that amazing user-generated content because they've said here to tag Australia, hashtag See Australia to give permission to repost. And if you look at the second screen grab there, 583,000 people have posted using that hashtag. So if you're Tourism Australia and you need to post something at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, look at that grid. You've got an amazing owl, you've got the 12 apostles, you've got a dolphin jumping out of the water. It's really easy for them because they put the work in to gain that momentum using consistency over time. And again, if you just want to look at the example of when they do repost user generated content, they've included whereabouts in Australia it is. They've used an applicable hashtag and they've tagged in the original person who took the picture. So that's the incentive for people to use your hashtag to get that shout out and to get that little bit of exposure. And if you're starting quite small, they're not going to gain much out of it, but just keep being consistent, keep gaining on that, and people will want to use your hashtag because it will be a valuable asset for them to get a shout out. So going from Australia down to the state tourism level now, this is Tourism Queensland. I think they're the biggest STO in Australia for Instagram. I'd have to double check against Tasmania. 31,000 followers now. Everything that Tourism Australia is doing, Queensland's doing as well. Beautiful pictures. We've got a really great state for content, predominantly user-generated content. Something that Queensland does differently is they actually have guest curators come in and take over their account for a week at a time. Really great, simple concept as well. It takes it off their hands and you're getting to see lots of different content from lots of different people. 66,000 posts now in hashtag This is Queensland, which is really impressive and a big jump up from even 6 months ago, just through that consistency. And you remember I just spoke about empowering your staff. This last picture is something that Queensland have reposted. This is from Sabiak, and she's a Gold Coast local Instagrammer who works at Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. And the work that she's doing for them, I would assume free of charge. Her marketing markets that place better than anything I've ever seen, purely because she loves photography, she loves her job, and she loves her workplace. And content from Sabiak is reposted regularly on regional, state, and countrywide Instagram accounts. So from a regional perspective, Brisbane's been of interest to me lately because I did a campaign for them, and the campaign was about syncing up all the different regions of Brisbane and having a more cohesive strategy towards social media. So it's Brisbane any day, and it's all about visiting, getting outside of the city and doing the regions of Brisbane. So it's still quite new, but they've gotten to 5,000 very quickly for the work that they've put in. They did the big campaign with me. I brought other influencers in, um, jumped them right up to 5,000. Now 5,500 posts on Brisbane any day. Really impressive. It means that user generated content is now really picked up to an extent that they could more or less rely on it. And again, just another example of the upload where it said who's taken the picture, whereabouts it is, and it's user generated content again. And from an operator level, I wanted to use Spirit of Gold Coast as a case study because I did a little bit of work with them last year. And my advice to them was to put some Instagrammers on the boat, sort of every day, try and get an Instagram on there, someone with a few followers, obviously. And, they jumped up from just a really small, tiny Instagram account to 2,500 now, keeping in mind that we haven't yet started the whale watching season for this year. So everything that they gained there is kind of the last half of last year's season, and they've managed to maintain a bit of a slow burn over the off season, so that now they're counting down that the whale season's coming to a start, and getting people excited. They've got lots of Instagrammers following them from last year that are, happy that the whales are coming back. And my prediction is that they'll get a lot of bookings straight off because of their Instagram and because of the work they're doing there. Their user generated content quite small at the moment, but again, they've just come through the off season. So coming into the coming into the whale watching season, I would recommend to them to use hashtag Spirit of Gold Coast in their bio, just to let people know, and maybe even to have a couple of signs up on the boat that say hashtag Spirit of Gold Coast for a chance to be reposted on our Instagram account, just so all the tourists and people that are experiencing it can see that and start using the hashtag more. And again, that's the user generated content, how it looks posted. That was 28 weeks ago from Paul Griffiths. He's a local Gold Coast Instagrammer that went out. And, quite a few people that know Paul ended up saying, oh, Paul's going whale watching, we have to go as well. So I thought that was a really successful little campaign. They're embracing Instagram. It's great to see. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Spirit of Gold Coast does in the whale watching season this year. So just to kind of sum up, we all know that it's true. Images are evocative. Good quality images really will engage with people and get them to want to be a part of it all. So quality images will build you a great audience. Use a really simple strategy. Don't stress out too much about it. Upload regularly, capture and keep a growing audience, keep your consistency, build towards that user generated content if you can, or find people that are shooting SLR quality images, staff members, local photographers, influencers. Why Instagram? Out of all the other platforms, everybody knows that Facebook reach has dropped drastically. People that follow you on Instagram have seen your content. They've seen all of it on their home stream. And, you might have 100,000 people following you. You're not going to get that many likes, but you'll get much greater engagement on Instagram as a platform than any other engagement. What you see is what you get with Instagram. It's simple to use. It's fun. So many people are using it, and it's a very fast growing platform. So that's question time.
Okay,
And just a little bit of my information if anyone wants to get in touch.
great. Thanks, Lauren. So yeah, we do have some questions. I'll just go back. There's a bit of a list here. Um,
Sure.
okay. Question here from Christina about managing multiple accounts. I guess you only have the one account, Lauren, but do you have any thoughts about making it easy to manage multiple accounts at all?
I actually have two accounts because I run the Instameet account for the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
There's no easy way like Twitter, unfortunately. I wish I had a better answer for you.
Mm,
I would say multiple devices if you can afford it. I have my Instameet account on my iPad and my personal account on my iPhone.
yeah.
I know a lot of people that work in tourism have two phones, and they'll have their personal Instagram on one and their work Instagram on another.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And you talked about taking pictures. So for you, it's a DSLR and then uploaded with an iPad. Is that normally how you operate?
I actually go the second one that I mentioned, which was I use Photoshop on my laptop and then I email the images to myself.
Okay.
Yeah, but the iPad is something that I like to mention because I think for for beginner or enthusiast photographers that are trying to do their own content, it's a really easy, non-scary, fast way of getting the content.
Yeah, sure, sure. Question from Morella. What do you think about videos on Instagram? Do you ever do them, or is it all still photography for you?
I think that video is still a niche. I think that there are people on Instagram that are very interested in the video and they're following people purely because they're doing video. For me personally, um, 9 times out of 10, I'll scroll past a video without watching it. And I think that a lot of people are the same. Um, I'd say, well, Morella, I know, is with whale watching, so the videos would be amazing. Just make sure that it's a quality image, quality what's it called, like the home image. So if it's a video, the first image that they see, the still from that video is something spectacular, which might encourage them to press play and engage with the video. Obviously, having someone engage with a 15-second video is more valuable than quickly scrolling past an image. So yeah, I say play around with it. Make sure you choose that cover frame really carefully and make sure it's a good quality image if you can, or good quality video.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, another one from Morella. Should a whale watching operator stick to whales and water for every post? Um,
Um, Not necessarily. It's nice to do a little bit of destination stuff as well, I think. In saying that, I mean, I personally really like the Spirit of Gold Coast Whale Watching Instagram account purely for the reason that I love whales and a lot of people love whales, so they're in a really lucky position.
yeah,
Um, if you do grow bored of all that, it's all blues, obviously. I think a little bit of destination stuff thrown in, maybe some nice sunrises from the spit where you leave from, or detail shots of the boat, or maybe the odd bio of someone that works there, like a nice portrait of the staff member and a little bit of information about them. It all helps to kind of build the story and the experience of the tour itself.
yeah. And also, what do you think about creating or using a different hashtag? She's got an example here. Hashtag Love Spirit Whales.
Yep, because Spirit of Gold Coast is quite long. I think the shorter and easier a hashtag is, the better.
Okay, cool. Another one. From Amber. Which Nikon model do you regularly use?
I'm using the D800 because of the size of the sensor, and I love landscape photography. It's the highest megapixel camera on the market, and I'm taking these amazing high resolution, massive images, and then I'm downsizing them into a tiny little square and putting them on Instagram.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So you don't need a camera of that quality. In this picture here, I'm actually using the Nikon D7000, which was where I started. Even an entry level SLR is going to get you better pictures than a mobile phone. Um, my best advice is to learn how to use it as soon as you get it. If you are deciding to buy a camera specifically to generate your own content, yeah, try and do a little bit of private tuition with someone that can teach you the basics, so
Right.
you get in good pictures straight off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's the end of my list. Does anyone have any other questions that they'd like to just quickly type in for Lauren while she's here? Good to pick her brains. Hopefully, we've answered all of them. If not directly with a question, then certainly in the presentation that she's given. But if we haven't answered any of your questions, please, now's your chance. Nothing coming through. Okay, that looks like it, Lauren. So it just remains for me to say thank you very much. I've got a lot out of that myself. And I
Great,
love your photos. They're just beautiful. I look at them myself on Instagram. So
thank you.
thanks again for sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it. So everyone,
No problem.
this presentation will be on YouTube shortly, so you can revisit it if you'd like to. And if everyone, I'll just take back control of the screen now to just run through a few final slides. Thank you again, Lauren.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay,
Thanks,
see you.
everyone. Bye.
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 Okay, so just a reminder about our webinars coming up next week. we have a guest presenter, Neil O'Connor from What If, who will be giving you tips on how to make the most of What If, which should be very interesting for those of you who are doing channel distribution. Then we have a break because we're all out in region. 17th of June, build your Facebook audience. And finally, 24th of June, Jamie White Pod Legal will be our guest presenter on protecting your brand, both on and offline. Very important stuff for you to know from a legal point of view. Here is the link to register. Just go to the Tourism and Events Queensland website and hit the big purple Digital Ready button, and that will take you to the Digital Ready page, and you can register straight from the website there. Feel free to come and let people know that these are on. Yeah, thanks everyone. Don't forget, we still have our mentoring and coaching service via email or phone, so feel free to give us a ring or send us an email if you have a particular problem with anything digital. Um, I'm Jane. Here are our contact details here. Do get in touch with us at any time. And thank you again, everyone, for attending. Bye bye.